Good evening. Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to give you a moment to come on in. Come on in the room. And every time I say that, I think of the song that says, come on in the room. So come on in the room. You can come talk with me. So I give you a moment to join me. Good evening. As you come in, please let me know that you are here. Say hello. Feel free to like and share this video or any videos that we do, any of the lives that you feel like would be helpful. I am definitely wanting to get as much information out there as possible. Hey, Deandra, how are you? I am doing well. Thank you for joining tonight. It's so good to see you. It's a long time no see. So hello, good evening, everyone. As I'm going to give my disclaimer before we get into tonight's topic. I am Theresa White. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Indiana. Oh, yay. You said you were singing with me. Is that you meant to say? Come on in the room. I am a licensed mental health counselor in the state of Indiana. I am also a registered drama therapist. That is a national credential. I am a national certified counselor, and I am also an addiction counselor. I do want to say that any information that I give you is strictly for that purpose, information only. It is not to replace any direct treatment that you may get from a treating physician or any medical advice. But it's for you to be able to take that information and use it to better improve your health or wellness. Excuse me. Feel free to take information and use it and apply it, and also give feedback. So if there's some things that we've talked about in the past that you've tried and you want to give us feedback on trying it, we've been talking about self-care and things like that, feel free to do that as well. So tonight, as you have seen the topic at the top of the video, or if you have not, it says, I'll admit it, I'm scared. Hi, Angie. I see that you sing. I should have finished the song then if you was singing with me. But yes, so as everybody is coming in the room and joining us on tonight, I do want to tell you where the topic came from. As I was talking with my husband about just the things that are going on, and it's really difficult. I know I've been talking about this for kind of periodically talking about the pandemic, and it comes up in our lives in previous weeks. But each week, I think people get affected differently. And each month, you can definitely have a different reaction depending on what's happening in the news, what the current events are, and also how you're processing what's happening. And that can be different from time to time. So as we've talked about in past lives, like we've done our topic, actually literally April 13th, like literally 4 months ago tonight, we did our live. Hi, Selena. Called What in the World is Going On? Do you remember that song? What's going on? Hey, what's going on? I can't tell. Anyway, again, I'm going to start singing. Sorry. So we did a topic about that because that literally is how people were feeling. What in the world is happening? Not only in the world outside, but also in the world in my life. What was happening? And that probably is still, there's a nice hover cloud of what's going on. Hi, Kiara. And hi, Amara. So with that topic, I wanted to bring the conversation back to you guys tonight. Because as I'm talking to different people, whether it's people that I'm working with, people that are in my family, people that I am in passing, or just hearing conversations in general, there's a general theme of concern and fear that or that are in the conversations about what's happening or what has already happened. So I want to first just say there, at the beginning of what was happening in March, when everything started to shut down, some people had, hi Tian, so nice to see you guys tonight. Thank you for joining. So initially, you may have had a response of like, oh, and I've heard people have responses like, this is not real, regarding the COVID-19 and the pandemic. Or if they felt like it was real, it was like, okay, I can control it. I'll just social distance. I'll stay at home. Hi, Kim. Nice to see you again back on here joining me. So initially, somebody could have had a very calm response, felt very in control of what was happening in their family and their life. Maybe thought school was going to be closed for a few weeks. All of that. Hi, Jerry. Hi, Sister Lyle. And then time has gone on, because now it's months down the line. Very different things have happened. We've had, not only adding on to what's going on with COVID-19, then we've had social injustices and seeing people, not only just this time, but just continually seeing people being mistreated for their ethnicity, for their sex, just for different injustices that are happening that that bring up all these different emotions, right? So that's also been going on. And as we talked about last week, how people may process grief or not process grief and avoid it. There's been not necessarily times, but there have been people responding to what's going on by trying to avoid it. And what I mean is, we're not talking about it. We're going to just try to, again, we've been, used to doing, we've been talking about minority mental health. A lot of what we have been taught in the minority community is that we just push through. Things hurt us. We scrape our knee. We don't shed any tears. We wipe our face and we push through. Broken bone, sprained ankle, you limp on it and you keep moving. And so emotionally, that has been the message that a lot of people have been hearing or been telling themselves. I got to keep pushing. Life goes on. We got to keep moving. But there's a constant, there are certain words that they are using in the media that are very, the habitual statements, right? A lot of the statements they have been using is uncertain times. If you heard every statement that is being made, these are uncertain times. So that reinforces that you don't know what's going to happen. You don't have control over any of that. And so then that brings up some emotions and a lot of feelings that people may be having. So again, you could have before been feeling very calm about it, feeling very in control. And now things are shifting and changing, because maybe things are shifting and changing for you in your life. And so, as I am a word person, and what that means is that words have very significant meaning to me. So the title tonight is purposely chosen. So the first part of the statement is, I'll admit it. So as we talk about the topic of our lives every single week is, can we talk? And that is really a question of, can we talk about the fear that may be coming up? Is it possible to even, are we willing, not necessarily possible, are we willing to have that conversation? Are you at the point that you will admit it? If that's really a feeling for you. That there are some things that I may be scared about. There's some things that I'm concerned about. As they talk about uncertain times, or there are some fears that are showing up, or some anxieties and worries that are showing up. And I'm going to use those words interchangeably. They are a little bit different, but for the purpose of tonight's live, I'm going to share how fear manifests in our bodies and in our minds. So, I want you to think about, as we are starting tonight's topic, and so I don't forget, I got my little notebook here. I want you to think about, how do you know when someone's scared? Or even when you're scared, how do you know? If you don't tell somebody like, hey, I'm scared or I'm afraid. What does the body do? Or what do you see other people's body do or respond when it comes to fear? So in regards to that, I want you to think about facial expressions. What do you notice about face? What do you notice about people's bodies, internally, and things that you may not be able to see, that you may feel yourself, and things that you may be able to see in other people. How do you know when someone is scared or maybe afraid? So think about that, and feel free to give me a few comments and share what some things that you notice regarding that. So as you do that, I want you to think about this image, and I can't show you clips, which is frustrating because I want to be able to show you little clips of what I'm thinking about. But so people probably have seen, one scary movie at least, or some kind of suspenseful movie. Well, one of the characters in the movie is either hiding from the killer, hiding from somebody who's going to hurt them, just hiding, right? So when you see this particular scene, they're either in a closet, under a bed. If they're out in the woods, hiding behind a tree, they're running, right? So you see this reaction. Hi, Terry. Good evening. Thank you for joining. So you see this reaction of what may be happening. In this moment, the person is having physical responses. And, if we're looking at it on the movie theater screen, or if we're looking at it on our TV, we have our own responses. And I have, been very guilty of yelling at the TV screen of what not to do, right? Don't run that way. Stop breathing so heavy. Shh, be quiet. So you're yelling at this screen at this person who is having a response to what's happening in their life or in the screen, right? In their life. So yes, definitely, Kira, as I say, deep breathing. So we're hiding it, behind the closet where you can see through the lines, and you can see if they come in your room, and you screaming, stop breathing so heavy, be quiet. That's a real response to when fear shows up. So I see a couple of responses also: crying, tensing up, shaking, getting angry, or yelling. Definitely. So as you think about those responses, I'm going to hit on those in just a minute, but I want to give you a few other things that are happening as we've been talking about what in the world is going on, or what can bring up this fear. Now, again, we talked about in the beginning, for some people, when they announced, the coronavirus and the pandemic and staying at home, or quarantining, and staying at home, may not have been, again, it may have been a concern of like, whoa, what is this? What's going on? Right? Of, kind of asking those internal questions, or kind of, asking around and doing what you need to do. Staying home, hopefully, and putting your mask on, washing your hands, hygiene, and all of those things. And so their response may have been very light. But throughout time, as again, we've been talking about with the injustices, now you're hearing on the news where they're constantly talking about coronavirus, when they're saying that the cases, even with the riots that are, not the riots, I'm sorry, with the marches that are happening, and then in some cases that are peaceful and some that are having riots, that the cases have been shooting up. So, people have been coming out to, they open up the states a little bit, so people have been, quarantining, and it's like now we see a little bit more light at the tunnel. We can come out a little bit, and restaurants are halfway seating people, or, doing 50% seating, and, you got some tables you can't sit at, and some places that are still closed and slowly opening up. So with that, you're continually watching the news. People are going out to beaches, having parties. So some people, different things are happening. Right? Hi, Mother Nella. So then you hear that the coronavirus cases are shooting up. Right? So cases are increasing. So you hear, before it may have been like, okay, I've been taking care of it and handling it and staying away from family and keeping my distance and etc. But now this time is going on, and they're saying, the cases are increasing. People have been talking about reopening the states, or in some cases, shutting down the states. with that, that can also bring up a whole new response for people, because it may have been, okay, I've been holding on for getting out the house, and now you're telling me that I got to lock back down. I got to continue to quarantine. I got to continue, and I'm hoping that by the end of this summer, hi, Evangelist Mother Mary, and by the end of this summer, that things will be different, right? But when things don't seem like they're changing, and they're not, you don't see it getting better in some cases, and in some things it may feel like they're getting worse. And now we're coming up at the end of the summer already. We're already looking at the mid-July and considering school. School is a huge one, because I know in like Indianapolis, and in some places, school is already kind of like year-round, so they're starting different things. And so trying to have a plan for the students to come back to school. And then looking like, what is the plan? How do you make sure students, from children, we're talking about kindergarten, first grade, these young babies, I call them babies because they're babies to me, but these young babies, how are you going to have them social distance and tell them to not talk to their friends or not get too close or not hug when they've been locked in the house since March? A lot of parents have not let their children go out. They've not seen family. And then we're going to say, okay, let's open the schools back up. Keep the masks on, or whatever the plan may be. We're going to social distance in the classrooms. So stay away from your friends. There'll be a very difficult environment to control. So you have a lot of these thoughts and questions that are going on around, at least in this state. I know all other states are probably having the same thing, but like looking at what is the plan from here. And that can bring up, again, a lot of these responses of like, wait a minute, we were doing okay. And now we're thinking about, we've been out of work, and not like not having a job, but not having to go to work. Now we're talking about jobs are opening back up, saying, come on back in. So again, fear is a very common response. We've been talking about common reactions to trauma, common reactions to grief. Fear is a common reaction to a pandemic or a disease or just changes in your life and not knowing what that control. So, do I go send my children back to school, or do we stay online? And some children are like, please send me back to school. When some parents are like, no, you're staying home to do it online because of, again, these concerns. So you have, different things that are happening. Teachers are concerned. How do we social distance with students all around? So, there's a lot of different thoughts and questions happening. Now, they don't have necessarily a flat plan just yet. But these are things that are being discussed that you may see and been hearing in the news. So with regards to that, people are still jobless. So we talk about, what's going on in the world. Some people are still jobless or maybe on the verge of getting hours cut or losing their job, because a lot of businesses are losing money because they've not been open, or people have not been out, or giving or supporting businesses as they were before, because they've been quarantining in the house and maybe ordering online a lot of things. So jobless, having struggles paying bills is still a very real thing. And food shortages is a very real thing of what's been happening. So, and then you've been hearing, in some cases, I've been hearing about people talking about doing more harm purposely to the African American males by trying to, what's the word I'm looking for? Target them at night and different things like that. You got churches opening back up in some cases, and people are nervous about going back to church or being around other people. So there's a lot of things happening around you got other things going on, but these are things that are happening that people have general concerns about. So I want to share just a few as I'm pulling up. You may see me look away from the camera because I'm pulling up a document so I can reference for you guys. So I want to give you a few common reactions that you may see or experience. So for those who are essential workers, and has been essential workers, been continuing to work and things like that, there may be ways that you are experiencing or having fears come up or that are manifesting that you may not even realize are happening, or maybe you are and they're causing problems. So, for example, the first one we've been talking about, the uncontrollable worry. So at first it may be, okay, well, yeah. Hi, Amanda. Good evening. So it may be, okay, I got a little bit of worry. I'm going to, wash my hands and keep my hands washed, not touch my face and all these things that they tell us to do, right? But then what if the worry increases? Because then I can't be around other people. How long is that going to last? What happens if a family member that I'm really close to, I haven't seen in a while, gets sick? And I haven't seen them, or, maybe not being able to reach people. Because again, we talked about everybody is not sitting at home with family. There are some people who are quarantining and that live alone, whether elderly, parents, things like that, or not parents, I'm sorry, aunts, uncles, people that live alone. This definitely may be very stressful for them, and that fear may hit of how much longer is this going to be? And so you may have that uncontrollable worry that this is never going to end. You can have an uncontrollable worry that you're going to, some kind of way, no matter what you do, get ill. For those who have to go out to, places like, Kroger's and Walmart's and Menards and, different places that have a lot of people that can congregate there, can bring up worries about being around other people. Because you can control you can't control everybody else. I don't know where you've been. I don't know who you've touched. I don't know what you've been exposed to. So, but I have to go out and get food to eat, or, etc. So there can be worries that are surrounding just your general basic everyday things that may not even be really, you may not be given time to process or really think about. It's kind of just like, okay, it's there in the back of my mind. It comes up at times, and then I kind of keep going from there. There's also, when fear shows up, as we've been talking about, as I was giving that example of yelling at the TV, don't move or stop running or whatever. Concentration is very difficult to keep when you're afraid, because your mind is constantly running, trying to find survival. Because there's a thought or a perception that you're not safe. So then your body releases cortisone that says, get out of here, fight, flight, freeze, or what we talk about. It's called fawn, but that's a different lie for a different day. But we talked about those responses when we say PTSD, or anxiety responses. People fight. I'm going to defend myself, and that can be verbally or physically. And so you see that can be happening because they are in a hyper arousal response. So concentration can be very difficult at that moment. It can be hard to concentrate, hard to focus, or hard to think of a plan if you don't have that control or don't know what's going on. Another one that is definitely very prone in the African American or minority community can be excessive nervousness. I mean, we see things on the news, and even things that we've been talking about racial trauma, that nervousness of going out, of encountering, nervousness about your family members being ill, nervous about getting a phone call about someone passing away or being sick, or also nervous about someone experiencing some harm coming to them because of police brutality, or because of riots, or because of whatever else is going on in the world. Okay? And then last but not least, that increased heart rate. So I'll give an example. As I work with some people, I know that people are working in different environments. And so people have different reactions when they go to work opposed to when they stay home. At home I can control my environment, so I feel peaceful, I feel fine, I feel good at home. But when I got to step outside, then maybe the heart rate increases. I feel my chest kind of do a little flutter, or I get in the car, or when somebody walks too close to me, then I may have that increased heart rate or that nervousness. And so these can be ways that being afraid can be coming up for you. are showing that there is some fear there. Because sometimes you don't even realize that you may be worried about some things, or this is something that's a concern for you. So that increased heart rate, especially for those who have already struggled with trying to maintain a level of blood pressure, or may have high blood pressure, that can be something that is a concern. Where it's like, uh-oh, my heart rate is going up, what's wrong? And then you have this, again, excessive nervousness, and that can keep this thought going of being worried about, again, am I getting sick? But that increased heart rate can be because you're concerned or you're fearful about being around people, being out socially, because that's the message that's been happening over and over again. Do not come out socially, stay by yourself, social distance, stay away from people. But then you have to go back to work where you may be around people, or you're going to do everyday things that you need to do to take care of your household or your family or even yourself, that may be bringing on some anxieties, and that may be increasing that heart rate. And so sometimes it's very difficult. You think, okay, I felt it the first time. And you may have felt it one time and wasn't thinking anything about it. Okay, that's normal, and you kind of went about your day. But when it continues, as we talked about before, when something continues to increase and become a problem, or interrupting what we call your everyday interactions or what you're doing, then that's when it's time to say, I need to pay attention to this and do something about it, or talk to somebody about it. Because we go back to that word. If that's happening, do you have somebody to talk to? Or are you willing to admit that I'm a little nervous about what's going to go on? Hi, Caroline. Hello. So I'm a little nervous about what's going on. Or I may just be downright scared. I'm afraid. And either one is okay. But you need to, again, be able to talk to somebody and be able to admit it. Because when we talked about last week with grief, avoiding emotions only makes them come out worse later. So when we think about anxiety, because generally what people may do is, I'm going to avoid it, right? I ain't going to go out. I'm not going to talk to nobody. Don't talk to me about the coronavirus. I don't want to hear anything about what's going on in the news. I'm going to avoid the news. Or however you may be avoiding trying to feel whatever the emotions may be that's coming up for you. With that, there's this cycle. You feel afraid. You try to avoid what's scary. And that temporarily relieves you for a moment. But then, when it comes back around, then the fear is stronger. Then you try to avoid again. Temporarily relieves, and it just keeps this cycle going. I feel the fear. I try to avoid the fear. Then it makes me more fearful. And it keeps that going. So for someone who works with anxiety and depression, one of the things that we talk about is exposure therapy. Now, one thing that's difficult in this time now is exposure therapy is exactly what they're saying do not do. Do not expose yourself to anything. So keep yourself more secluded so that this is what's going to be the natural response. People are going to have a fear when it comes to things opening back up, or being around people, or going around family, or whoever, as people are, maybe slowly doing things. So I know that some people, some schools are not opening back up. Some things people are doing different things because of these concerns. Because fear is definitely at play here, very strongly, because of, you don't know, because of this uncertainty. So, yes, Mother Nella, yes, talking about Indy. So yeah, different schools are doing different things. For that very reason, to try to protect, teachers, schools. So I know that a lot of the teachers are concerned. And my husband working in the school system, so I know a lot of teachers are very concerned about what's going to go on for the school year. As people are concerned about what's going to go on for the rest of the year, period. So yeah, fear is definitely a very real thing. So I wanted to just mention a few different ways that fear can be manifesting. So if it's becoming where you are having an uncontrollable worry, some of the things that were mentioned before, crying, shaking is definitely a physical response of fear. Tensing up. Sometimes people think that you may have your hands that, will tense up. Sometimes your shoulders can lock. You can have your legs can shake. You may not have a full tremble of your entire body, but you can have parts of your body that shake. For example, you can just feel your stomach flutter. Your arms may quiver, and you only are the only one that feels it. No one can necessarily see your arm shaking, but you can feel that nervous jitter that's going on in your body. You can have that tension in your back. Typically, it happens in people's backs, their necks, chest, stomach, legs, feet, because again, people are ready to fight or flight, so you may be ready to run. And again, that concentration piece. I can't focus, I can't think, or focus on one thing. I'm trying to think survival-wise. So that's very difficult to think clearly, because that's the issue. As we talked about, or one of the things that was mentioned also was breathing. When fear is present, you're not breathing very deeply or calmly. You most likely are breathing very shallow, if you're breathing at all. So then that can bring the issue of not being able to concentrate and your heart rate increasing because you are not breathing as you normally would. So monitor your body, as I like to call it, do body scans, check into yourself and just kind of check in when you have to go out and go places. Do you have a physical response to going out to, to a social environment, whether it's a restaurant or a grocery store or going to work? Does your heart rate change? Do you feel, knots in your stomach? Are you having some type of physical response or emotional response? Do you start to, feel nervous? Do you have those worries that are coming up all day? And you're kind of backing up when people try to come close to you because you get worried that they're going to try to touch you or something like that. These are very real fears for people. And sometimes people just tell you, oh, just stop. Just stop. It's not that serious. It's not. But for somebody who's really experiencing these things, if it was easy to stop, people would just stop it. They would just stop it on their own. No one wants to feel in distress on purpose if they have the control to be able to change it. So that's where, again, we talked about before with healthcare and doctors. That's where we come in. When it's like, okay, I do have a boo-boo. And it's not just I can just put a Band-Aid on it. It's not just I scrape my knee. It may be I got a full gash and I need to go to the hospital and get this taken care of. That can also happen with our emotions. That we can get overwhelmed and not be able to have that or feel we have that sense of control and may need that extra support. And that is okay. So let me just say, yes, minorities feel anxious. We feel scared. And anxiety is very real. Okay? Now, I say that as an interesting statement because anxiety sometimes can tell you things are real that are not real. But the experience of anxiety for that person is very real. So I hope that makes sense. I see a question. Let me make sure. What do you do with the one that is frozen by fear? If you are with somebody who is frozen by fear, and I guess I'm going to try to give an example to see if that's what you mean by that statement, Jerry. If you're with somebody, say again, we talk about those scary movies, you're running and they are just frozen in place. Now again, that happens, and it's not because they are purposely not trying to move, they just want to die. Because even though we may be screaming, you just want to die. You're going to fall on purpose. We have our responses being funny when we're watching, suspenseful movies. But for people who are really experiencing that, being frozen in place is the most uncomfortable, and it brings more fear. Because in your mind, you're screaming, move, legs move. And I'm saying that because I know from experience, I have been someone who's been frozen in place with a fearful experience. And I was trying to tell myself, move, run, do something. My brain is firing all these thoughts, all these commands, and my body feels like bricks. And people may be screaming at you, move, what are you doing? Come on. And you're like, if I could move, I wouldn't be standing here looking like I am. Because again, another response we talked about is wide-eyed. As we talked about with the affect, your eyes go big. Sometimes your mouth goes open, or you just, like a deer in headlights, you just are stuck. And so if you're somebody who is a mover, where you are a flight person, you may need to physically pull somebody out. And as you see people do that situations out of houses and very dangerous things, you may need to say, okay, it's okay. Come on, move with me, and move them slowly to get them to move. And so emotionally, what that can look like is that they are just shut down, don't want to talk, don't want to do anything because they're frozen in fear. And so that can happen where I'm like, nope, I'm shut off from that. I'm frozen in this state of whatever that is, and I don't want to deal with anything else. So it may be really helpful for someone to comfort and, be there and talk to them through things and allow them to slowly begin to kind of move again. So I hope that makes sense. Is there medication that deals with fear? There is anxiety medication, and prescribers, nurse practitioners, medical doctors, your PCPs, and your psychiatrist can prescribe medical anti-anxiety medication. And a lot of them are monitoring their patients for that very reason, because anxiety right now is clearly shooting through the roof. But as a mental health professional, I'm definitely going to advocate that anxiety medication alone is not going to cure the problem. You need anxiety, if you're going to do anxiety medication, do that coupled with therapy as well, to be able to work on the core issue and work on skills to be able to help you when that anxiety kicks in. What do you say to that person that is unsympathetic to another dealing with fear? It's really, I guess I would say, consider yourself. I'm always saying that to somebody. Consider yourself. When you have a certain emotion, the last thing you want to hear somebody say is, that's not a big deal, you're overreacting, or you're just being dramatic. We have our statements that will try to minimize someone else's emotions or their experience. You may not have that same experience. You may feel peachy keen about what's going on. You may not have any concerns at all, and that's fine if that's your response. But that's not everybody's response. And so it's really important to be sensitive to other people's responses, because everybody is different. So it may be, okay, I may not understand how you're responding. I may not understand your fear or experiences, but I'm willing to listen. As we talked about before, you don't have to always know what somebody feels, but being that safe person, be that safe person that will allow them the space to pour out on you. Because again, when you say, oh, you're overreacting, Theresa, it's not that serious. You need to, and some people who are even in the faith community, oh, you need to just pray about it, or you need to just believe God. Those things shut down your communication and says, okay, and that person says to themselves without even saying out loud, I can't talk to you. Because all you're going to give me is that same statement with no solutions. Because just telling me to just stop, if I could just stop or not be dramatic, because, whatever the statement may be, I wouldn't be coming to you, talking to you in the first place. So it's really important to consider yourself. Consider how you feel when you're afraid. And what if somebody told you, oh, that's not a big deal? You being scared of snakes, is you just being, dramatic, or you being scared of a lion, that's a bear, oh my, lions and tigers and bears. Or you just, you being scared of closing places, or just, oh, that's not that serious. To that person, that fear is very real, and so is their responses. So it's important for you to consider how you feel when you're afraid of whatever it is you're afraid of. And consider if your fear was on, times 100 with what's going on right now. Say somebody brought that lion in the same room as you and then said, oh, just, you're okay. Calm down. Your heart shouldn't be racing. You should just, pray or believe God, or just calm down. Just breathe. My fear is staring me in my face. And at this moment, I'm having a very hard time calming myself down. So I need that outside that outside support, whether it's somebody standing between me and the lion, or, come and rub you on my back and protect me, talk me down. It's okay. It's not going to bite you. It does, its mouth is closed, whatever you may say. And I'm giving that example as a lion. But emotions can feel just like that. Fear can look like it's staring you right in your face, and you don't have a solution for it. Because if you did, you wouldn't be just happily feeling anxious or having your heart rate or not breathing appropriately. So again, it's really important to consider how other people are feeling. The same way we talked about with grief, with any emotion, because it can be really easy to, or not won't say easy, but it can be very common, from past experiences, to just throw somebody off. Oh God, they're calling again. I can't handle them. I can't handle Theresa right now. I can't handle, her anxiety. I can't. So if you feel like that, because you are constantly, hi Niles, if you feel like that because you're talking, because you've talked to them 4 or 5 times, imagine how they feel when they are feeling it all the time. They're trying to get it off of them, trying to get some kind of release. And so even if it's, what, babe, I have no idea what to say to you. I have no idea how to help, but I'm willing to sit here and listen. Let's watch a funny movie. And again, do what you know best to do to be able to help somebody. You don't have to have all the answers. Because again, as I say before, if it gets to the place where you feel like, okay, this is getting above my skill set, I don't have the tools to help you, then I'm going to direct you to somebody who does. So if you came to me and said, I'm having a heart attack, Theresa, I'm having a heart, I can't say, oh, just breathe. No, I'm going to direct you to the person, an emergency room, and a heart doctor, somebody who knows what they're doing with that particular concern or condition, that issue. So if it gets overwhelming for you to handle it, then I'm going to encourage you to direct them to somebody else who can manage it, or can help them through that situation a little bit better than you can. Don't just throw them off and negate them or belittle their emotions. So no, that was a long answer to a short question. I apologize. Are there any other, hi San, any other questions, concerns before we end today as we are wrapping up our live on tonight? Hello, Sister Barnes. So again, feel free to, if you're watching this live after it's Monday, I didn't say today's date. It is Monday, July 13th, 2020. So if you are watching this after this recording or after the live and it's a recording, feel free to still ask questions or leave your comments. And then also feel free to send me messages if you don't want to leave it in the actual comments here. I do come back and look at the messages on the videos throughout the week, and I do respond to the ones that I see. So if I missed any questions, I hope I did not miss any comments or questions. So just want to let you know I am sending a Care Bear stare, little Care Bears and Care Bear hearts. I'm sending my heart and prayers out. First of all, to everyone who is going through, to all people who are struggling right now in this time for many different reasons, maybe more than what I've already shared. People who are maybe dealing with some severe anxiety right now because of what's going on in the world. So again, take care of yourself. Stay away from the news. If news makes your heart rate go up, then it's time to start to set a barrier for that. Only watch it to, maybe once a day, not all day long. Hi, Sister Sullivan. Oh, hi, Olivia. Oh, I miss you guys. Thank you for joining. So yes, definitely, my heart goes out to all those who are going through some things right now. For those who have experienced loss, as I meant to say last week, as we talked about some grief, or talked about grief in general, and I will say that I got another blow today about a childhood friend that really hit really hard. So know that my prayers are to the family, so you know who you are, and I will be reaching out to you. And just, again, take care of each other. This is a time that we need each other. They keep saying we're in this together. We're all in this together. We are definitely in need of unity and in need of each other. So for our teachers, for students who are nervous about going back to school, or whether they're nervous about not going back to school. Some students are scared they're going to stay home. My heart, as we, the little likes you can hit, the little hearts, my hearts are going out to my families. My hearts are going out to my friends. Yay, heart. I see hearts, the care hearts. Thank you guys. My hearts are here, and I am here. as well. So feel free to reach out to me. And I don't just say that because I'm on this live. I mean that. So I am definitely here if you need. If you know someone else who needs, feel free to ask questions. That's what we're here for. If there's lives or topics that you want me to discuss that I have not already, or that you missed maybe some months ago or last year, you want me to review it, can you go over that one again, Theresa? Let me know. Put that in the comments and I'll be happy to revisit that because we have some really good topics coming up. So again, this is Minority Mental Health Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm tongue-tied today. After talking all day to people, you can be. But I'm going to say that what I'm going to do for myself tonight, my husband already knows. When I leave from a long day at work, I'm just going to tell y'all, it's not a good habit, but I like ice cream. And every time I leave work, I want ice cream. Even if it's just a little small ice cream cone, a little ice cream bar. I remember those banana chocolate ice creams you used to get from the ice cream truck. Them were my favorites. Oh, the banana chocolate. Anyway. So ice cream is how I do some self-care. That's how I make, I feel very good, really good. And I watch me a TV show. I may not make it. I may fall asleep as I did last night, depending on where my body is. But take care of yourself. It's okay to have those simple pleasures. You like a certain, cup of, a certain drink. Get a certain, I have a friend who likes slushies, people who like cookies. I ain't going to call your name out. People who like candy bars, all of that, simple pleasures. We are in a place where we are constantly being denied of so many things in the world right now. It's okay to have a simple pleasure. And tonight, guess what I'm going to do, y'all? I'm going to have a simple pleasure, and I'm going to enjoy my ice cream. And I'm clapping because I'm excited. Because I get excited when I think about ice cream. So that's my addiction. I probably need a group for it, y'all. And I ain't trying to be funny, but I probably do need a group for why I like ice cream so much. But anyway, so y'all have a great week. Ice cream is good for you. See, Lady Valerie, that's why I love you. Anybody else who like ice cream, whoever want to send me ice cream, you can't mail it to me, but you can definitely send me gift cards for ice cream. I take all kind of gifts that can get me some ice cream. Gift cards for ice cream, cake, just ice cream. I like ice cream. And I'm not an expensive ice cream person either. I can go to McDonald's and give me $1 ice cream. I can go to Kroger and give me a quart of ice cream. Or I can go to Baskin Robbins and give me the treat. I'm just ice cream connoisseur. I just like ice cream. Potato chips, Terry, you know what? A good bag of chips. Not too much soda because then that messes up my skin and do all that. But a good bag of chips and a drink with just relaxing on your couch. Sometimes it's the greatest thing. I'm gonna show this to y'all. Because people make fun of me. I'm sitting on it right now. That's why you see me moving. I'm gonna be done in a minute. I promise y'all. This right here, people think I know it's hot. I know it's hot right now, but this is just the actual texture is really soft. So sometimes, and I was going to say this regarding that question about someone who's frozen. Sometimes rubbing a certain texture on someone's skin, rubbing the back of their hand, giving them that comfort, helps them to have something tactile that keeps them grounded so they can get out of their head of I can't move. You can rub their hand, rub their back, let them know, hey, I'm here. I'm with you. Come on, let's take a step. So with doing that, it helps them to snap from their focus from the lack of movement or being frozen or fear to it helps their brain to connect that somebody's touching them, so it brings them back to that current space and reality and lets them know they are safe. You're safe right here. You're sitting on the couch. You got your blanket on you, which is why a lot of children love their blankets, their teddy bears. I got a whole, thing of teddy bears. But anyway, I wanted to share that with y'all. So, there's a lot of things that can comfort us in times of fear. And some people, definitely the scriptures, those affirmations of I am safe, I am well, reminding yourself of saying that I am safe. I'm safe. I'm okay. I'm in my house. I'm in my, my chair, I'm watching TV, those things, reminding yourself of where you are right now is really important, because we can have thoughts that are catastrophic, I guess I would say. We can project into the future, this is going to be horrible, this is going to go wrong, and we have to stay right here in the present moment. My former pastor used to say, when I was back home from Indianapolis, he would say, yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery, today is the gift. So we call it the present. And I heard that when I was growing up. I'm like, oh, that's really clever, but it's the truth. Tomorrow is a mystery, and and the Bible talks about that as a scripture for those who are believers. Do not worry about tomorrow, but right now, that's exactly what we are being told. We don't know what's going to go on. No, stay today, right now. Stay right now. Because if you go into November and December and what's the 2021 going to look like? You will drive yourself crazy. You can't project into 2021 and tomorrow and the next day. All you have control over is right now, today, this moment. So stay in this moment. Enjoy this moment. And be here. Be here. And remind yourself to be here. So, and hopefully you will be here on next Monday at 8 o'clock, where we will be talking more about minority mental health. And we will talk about what depression looks like in minorities and how that comes out as well. And so some of the things that we talk about with anxiety kind of flows into a little bit of depression, or flows into what depression can look like as well. So join me next week. If you have a reminder on your phone, put a reminder on there to say Theresa is going to be on live on next Monday. I already have your questions about depression. If you got questions about a family member, bring your questions next week. And I will see you on July 20th if the Lord says the same. And I hope to see you with me. Have a good week. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye. Yes, weighted blankets, Sister Valerie. I've just seen that. And I don't need help, Jerry. I don't need help. Ice cream is a blessing from the Lord. I'm going to just say that's what it is. It is. And so that's on that note, amen.